welcome to Amazing Plantz4mationz. I am so excited to be here with you, and I'm excited about my guest. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind the 10:30 a.m. That's totally my fault. I take full responsibility. I'll blame it on my computer setup here, but I'm going to work on upgrading that one day. But I am here, and I'm so excited to be joined by Jane Thurnell Read. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And Menu is excited that you're here as well. It's apparently my cat decided to speak. Um, the reason I wanted to have you on is because I love your books. First of all, we're going to discuss all of those, but you are an author, a vegan activist, a speaker, a blogger, and you have so much knowledge when it comes to healthy aging, menopause, and then your recent book was about being on a budget, which I know that's one of the top conflicts people have with this. Oh, I can't eat healthy because it's too expensive, and I love the way you did that. Hi, Cookie, thank you for joining. So Jane, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm really excited to be here. Yeah.
And just to begin, I love to let everyone kind of know, how did you get into this lifestyle? Like, did it happen a long time ago? Did it kind of evolve, or did you grow up vegetarian or vegan?
I first went vegetarian when I was 12 years old, and I didn't know the word or anything. I just was repulsed by the idea of eating animals. But it didn't work out because my mum wouldn't give me anything to replace the meat. I got ill. The doctor came out. The doctor said, my mum said, well, she doesn't eat meat. And the doctor said, oh, of course she has to eat meat. You'll die if you don't eat meat. So, of course, I believed that and reluctantly started eating meat again. And then I went vegetarian in my 20s for the animals. I was concerned about. I didn't want to eat dead animals. I thought it was really bad. There was nothing then about the health and the environmental aspects of it. That just nobody talked about that. It was, if anything, you were told that if you became vegetarian, you could damage your health. It wasn't a beneficial diet. It was you know, potentially very risky. And then I actually became fully vegan in 2015. But that's a sort of overview of my diet. But it wasn't healthy. I mean, in my 20s, I was smoking around 40 cigarettes a day. I was drinking around a quarter of a bottle of whiskey a day. And my diet consisted of chocolate, orange juice, toast, marmalade, lots of coffee, the odd apple. I mean, it was vegetarian, but it was a
It was
very narrow range of foods and not ultimately very healthy. Yeah.
right. Absolutely. I totally get that. We forget sometimes that vegan and, like, doesn't mean healthy all the time.
Yeah.
Like, as
Yeah.
some people relate it to, like, it doesn't mean you're eating lettuce. You can have many, many, vegan goodies, as they could say, like the ones you just mentioned. Those
Yes.
were all vegan. Um, that's very interesting at 12. And what at 12 was it that, like, did anything spark that, or you just didn't really like meat?
I don't actually remember, but
Mhm.
I mean exactly what it was, but I do remember the idea of killing an animal and eating it
Mhm.
struck me as barbaric. And
Yeah,
and that stayed with me for my life, that it's such a barbaric thing to do, and we dress it up in so much to make it acceptable.
that is so true. And I was thinking that's like, if we look back at our, like, core childhood beliefs before we're programmed, that is so true, that it doesn't, like, they talk about putting the baby in the crib with the apple and the rabbit, um and which one's it going to eat, which one's going to play with. And
Yeah.
it's so true, like, if we really think about it. But it's hard, like you said, to get past that with everything that we're fed in society. I was wondering, so at what point did this, become a passion? You were already a forward thinker, obviously, at 12
Yeah.
years old. What made you want to start, like, kind of helping others with your writing and things like that? When did that start to happen?
I think when I was Probably in my early 60s, and people kept on telling me I was inspirational. I
Mhm.
mean, I'd like, I don't know, $10 for everybody who's used that word to describe me. I mean, it's just amazing. And and I started to think, well, okay, this is happening like on an individual level. I'm talking to you, and you say I'm inspirational, and you say I'm going to make some changes. Um, but I felt I wanted to, reach a wider audience.
Mhm.
Um, and I was really frustrated at how complicated it was being made to seem. And I felt it didn't have to be that complicated. And also, there were already, when I'm in my early 60s, there were beginning to emerge these influencers, people, celebrities, people who would um, talk about a particular diet, even though they had no real knowledge. There was no scientific basis for it, and all the rest of it. So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because I feel like you are very inspirational because as a lot of us get to different age ranges, I know we all think, oh, when I reach this like 0, 30, it seems like when we're 20, we're like, oh, I'm going to turn 30. And then 30 becomes 40 and 40 becomes 50. And then, I think we all feel like, oh, are we getting old? Or, we always hear that word and like people think natural things happen as you get older. And like here you're talking about, oh, when I was 60, and you don't even look like, I remember when I interviewed on your show on your YouTube, which is a great channel. We'll talk about that, when we promote your how to find you at the end. But
Yeah.
I love your interviews and they're so insightful. And you were nice enough to let me come on there and share my journey. And so I was thinking, I remember, I don't know how it came up, but I feel like somehow the age came up there, and I was like, "You're kidding me! You're not over 60." But so I was like, "There's a testament to the diet that something's going right there." So, like, when you're saying that over 60, I'm assuming you were talking about inspiration to people that were, also around your same peer level. They're aging too, and younger people, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because I'm now 77, and I
That's unbelievable.
and people, I get young people who say to me, "I want to be like you when I'm
Mhm,
your age." People
mhm.
in their 40s say that to me.
Yes.
Or, "I don't want to be like my mum and grandmum who just sit and watch television and, eat crap and moan about the world."
Right.
Um, so, I want to be like you. So I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting it much more that I would resonate maybe with people, my age. But
Mhm,
actually, it's the people in the 40s and 50s.
mhm.
And people say, "You've given me hope because you've made me realize, I don't have to follow, that normal, horrible thing. I don't feel so um, miserable, depressed when I think about the future, about getting old because, you're obviously having a great time and I am." Yeah.
That's amazing. You can tell the energy. So like for me also it made me feel like when I met you and other like vegan, it almost like this whole lifestyle I figured out at 42. I'm like closer to 50 now. I'm 47, but or maybe 48. I forgot to keep count. But I think 47. The wild thing is don't feel as, I don't know if the word scared, or I feel like I have some form of control because you kind of have set a like a blueprint, for lack of a better word, of look, if you do this, this, and this is what I did, and here's how I'm making it easy for you, and you're explaining things, and your writing is amazing. So, and your YouTube channel bringing other people on and sharing like their journey. I feel like everybody can find somebody who might identify with, to say, okay, if they did it, I can do it. And what so we can kind of get into it because I know you have so much knowledge in the science and the background in these types of things. What is it that you feel is a good advice? Like, what is the overall reason that the vegan diet, or we'll say the healthy vegan diet, and you can tell us what type of diet you promote? Is it like whole food plant based, or is it and tell us what is it about the diet that actually promotes that aging to go so well, or
I mean,
to
I think there's lots of different aspects to it, but I think one of the most important thing is a whole food plant-based diet, which is what I follow
thank
most of
you.
the time. I actually say I follow a 95% diet.
Hmm.
So 95% I'm whole food plant-based, but that leaves room for chocolate, cake, sugar,
Hmm.
all this stuff, always vegan, but
Yeah.
it allows room for that. And I think that's actually quite an important thing, because often people set themselves these impossible tasks
Hmm.
of being 100% whole food vegetarian, eating clean, all this sort of stuff. You know, my view is do it 95% of the time and allow yourself 5% of flexibility. For me, that's still within being vegan, but
Hmm.
it's stuff that is very low nutrition,
Hmm.
because it maybe contain sugar or a lot of fat or salt or whatever.
I think you're right. I think talking about it the way I put it in the book was like leave room to breathe for your routine too, because I think
Yes.
that's where, like, the way that you're presenting that is probably making a lot of people feel better who might be like me. When I started, it was 40 years of I'm used to eating this, or might have to go to a birthday party, or a holiday event, and you're like, fearful that if you go off, it might make someone, like, if they had a piece of vegan chocolate, then think I just gave it all up. I might as well just eat bad for the next year because I've messed up.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
get so rigid on our, and especially like the world that, whether whatever level you're at, you can hold yourself too tight. So I love that advice,
yeah.
the 95%. I know that seems to allow people to do it longer, I would assume too,
Yeah,
because
I think so. And also, as you say, if I eat chocolate or I don't know, some high sugar ice cream or something, I don't then immediately do that thinking, oh, I've broken the diet, therefore, I'm
Mhm.
gonna eat the whole tub of ice cream. I'm gonna, you know,
Yeah.
binge for the next 2 days or something. It's like, yeah, well, that's part of the 5%. You
Mhm.
do have to, though. I mean, I don't measure it exactly, obviously, but you need to sort of be aware that, because it's very easy for the 5% to creep up to
Becomes
10% or
7 and 10.
20%. So
That's
you
why
got to pay
I
it.
like to keep mine as much as I can to not having it, because I've seen that happen. It creeps in. I'm going to allow this. I'm going to allow this. But you know what? The amazing thing is, I don't know if this happens to you. Those times where I've allowed that to happen, my body let me know that you've went to. And if you're clean eating for long enough, sometimes that your body even tells you. You don't have to tell it, like, oh, that didn't feel. I don't feel
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And these days I crave salad if I don't eat it. If I have a day
Yeah.
without salad, the next day it's like I've got to have salad. I've got to have salad. And looking back to me in my 20s and 30s, the idea that I would crave, I could crave cigarettes, I could
Yeah.
crave whiskey, I could crave chocolate. The idea of craving salad would have been like, no way, nobody craves salad.
It
But
almost feels like we're different people once we found vegan and healthy whole
yeah,
food plant
yeah,
based. It just becomes like, who was that? Like, but I remember her. She was like, I'm the same person, but I'm like, that was not me. I'm the same way as you. I wanted to go out and get like beers, not and go out and find fruits. Uh, that's amazing. So, can you tell us what was the first book you wrote, and when was that one?
Okay, so I mean, I have actually, I did some writing in the 1990s, and was published then, but that was specifically aimed at complementary alternative therapists. But the sort of writing that we're talking about now is I've got 4 books, and this was the first one, the 190 weight loss hacks, and
Oh,
and that happened because I went on to on a health week, and most people were trying to lose weight. I actually wasn't, but at the end of it, we had this sort of get together, and one of the women said it was the beginning of December, and one of the women said, you know, between now and Christmas, I've got a lot of dinners and parties to go to. You know,
Mhm.
she had a really active social life. Her husband had a big business. So she was going to dinners and all sorts of things. And she said, I don't see how I can keep this off. And the response from the people running it was, well, you know, you've just got to set yourself the goal and remind yourself of what you're trying to achieve.
Mhm.
And and I thought, yeah, that's true, but it's a bit, you know, it doesn't actually, it's
Too
not
big.
it's not that big. It's really hard to do that, you know,
Yeah.
in a social situation often. And I piped up and said, if you're at a buffet, make sure you stand with your back to the buffet, because then, you know, get your
Oh,
food and then stand with your back to the buffet so that you're not seeing the food all the time and wanting to go back, you see. And people just burst out laughing, but nodded. It's like, oh, why haven't I thought of that? That's such a simple idea. And after that, I thought, you know, I know so many easy to apply things people can do, and so that's that. I ended up that 190 weight loss hacks. A
I
lot
love
of
it.
them,
190 too. Like she
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
like, give you 10
No,
methods.
there's
190.
190.
I love that.
And most of them are backed by research, so, you know, that was really important. And then when that was finished and out, a friend said, "I'm menopausal. I'm really, you know, weight and menopause. It's really tough. Is there anything in your book specifically about the menopause?" So I said, "Well, no, actually, there isn't." So then I thought, okay, I'll write a menopause
Well,
weight
just do
loss
it, right?
one. So I did that, and then you know, I see myself as a healthy aging activist, and I thought I have to write a book on healthy aging.
Mhm.
So I did that. And then, of course, so many people say they can't afford to eat healthy or have a healthy lifestyle. So then that was the book that came out in January this year on.
Yes. It was my birthday present you gave me.
Oh, right, health and well-being on a
Just
budget.
as I
That
was
one, yeah.
turning 47, right? So you could help me get into menopause. I think mine's that. Now, when does menopause start? That I'm interested in. Because I was just wondering. I haven't had a chance to read that particular book of yours yet.
Well, I actually don't talk so much about that side of things because there
Mhm.
is actually a lot of information out
Right.
about, I mean, some women are menopausal at, you know, 40, 41.
Mhm.
I was perimenopausal at 56 or 55, so
Mhm.
I was very late. And I
Mhm.
think that's also, you know, there's lots of evidence that if you have a healthy diet and you take
Mhm.
exercise and do all the right things, have a healthy life, then you're likely to have a much better menopause than women that don't. So a lot of the stuff that people, you know, I see the menopause actually as a wake up call,
Mhm.
because if your life is out of balance in terms of how you eat, lack of exercise,
Mhm.
um, you know, relationships, sleep, all that stuff, then you're likely to have a much tougher menopause. And
Yeah.
sadly, what's happening is women are reaching for, I don't know about in the US, but certainly in the UK, women are reaching for hormone replacement therapy,
Mhm.
um, which
Yes.
works for a lot of women, but it actually doesn't solve that problem that they're living an unhealthy lifestyle.
Mhm.
And the medication may solve a lot of the menopausal problems, but in the long run, if you want to live healthily into old age, you have to address diet and lifestyle. Of course, there are people who eat rubbish, smoke 50 cigarettes a day, you know,
Yeah.
etc., and live to be 105 or
You'll
something.
always hear those one-offs when we try to get
Yes.
people to eat
Yeah.
healthy, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
I
like
mean, if you're I think relying on being one of those is like relying on, I don't know, winning a national
mhm,
lottery or something.
to make a living, right? I'm
Yeah.
just gonna play the lottery every day and see what happens.
Yeah. Yes.
We wouldn't be most of us wouldn't have any money. Um so that's interesting. And like what is like, let's say you're a woman who's hearing this and you're, excited about all this information, but like, what are just a couple of the things that you teach as far as like what helps us in the book? Just a sample of like, what should we be doing to live healthfully too? And like, I hear a lot of people say, I never had hot flashes after I went vegan. So that's one of the big things I know that really, and a lot of the mood swings and a lot of the different like ailments that I've heard people just growing up even talk about and joke about as part of aging. They don't deal with these things. So what is the I guess
Yeah,
the
I mean,
key?
I would completely and utterly agree with that. And the research is there to show it as well. It's not only people's experience,
Mm-hmm,
but it's also there. I found from my own personal experience, when I began to realize that hot flashes were connected with me being stressed.
mm-hmm,
So if I hadn't slept properly, then the next day I would have loads of hot flashes. If I'd been eating rubbishy food for a couple of days, I would
mm-hmm,
have hot flashes. If I'd had an argument with my partner and it hadn't got it resolved, again, it would start the hot flashes.
mm-hmm,
And so for me, it became like, instead of going, oh my God, I've got a hot flash. Oh, this is dreadful. This is dreadful. It'd be like, what does this mean?
mm-hmm,
And it actually helped me to clean up my life,
mm-hmm,
because it made me realize, for example, I'm I'm fairly much a workaholic, but it really made me realize that if I was working flat out, I was more likely to get hot flashes, and the hot flashes were a sign that I was under stress. So I
mm-hmm.
had to learn to moderate the level at which I was working.
Right.
And when I look back at that time, I think, yeah, I made some little shifts, some changes,
Mm-hmm,
because I realized, because the hot flashes were telling me, this is wrong in your life.
mm-hmm.
Not just for now, not just for these menopausal years, but for
Yeah,
your whole life. So
yeah.
you've got to, you need to look at it. I mean, a lot of women say they have trouble sleeping during the menopause, but the research shows that the most likely indicator that you're going to have trouble sleeping in the menopause is that you had trouble sleeping before the menopause.
Mm-hmm.
So, it may be worse, but
Right.
if you're already sleeping badly, you're going to sleep even worse during the menopause. So actually, you need to address these things
Mm-hmm.
and see what you need to do to change things.
What's an average day, just so we could figure out what do you eat on an average day? Like what is
Ah,
on a healthy day, let's go with. Oh, not only
um,
5%.
I mean, I'm not a great cook, I have to say, and I tend. My partner does a lot of the shopping, which is great. Because if it was left to me, we'd be forever opening the fridge door and going, "Oh my God, there's nothing in here to eat." Neither of us cook complicated things, so breakfast could be. You call it oatmeal, don't you? We call it porridge.
Mhm,
So oatmeal with some raisins and some and some sunflower seeds
mhm.
with soya milk. I usually have a glass of orange juice. Okay, I should be squeezing it or eating a whole one, but it's just easier out of a carton fresh orange juice.
Yeah.
Coffee, always coffee. So that's usually my morning. Then 3 mornings a week I go to the gym. So when I go to the gym, I take a protein shake, which I have after the gym. So
Mhm.
I cycle everywhere. So I cycle to the gym.
Oh, that's
Uh,
excellent.
do the gym, and then I have my protein shake, and then I cycle home. And then when I get home, I have at least 2 rounds of toast with lots and lots of vegan butter on it, which is one of those, I mean, if I was being very strict, I wouldn't have, but it's fine. And I really enjoy it.
What kind of bread do you use? Is it just regular, like a white or wheat, or do you use like one of the sprouted grain breads?
No, so I usually use a seeded organic sourdough,
Okay.
um, and which is really, really nice. So it's a white sourdough, not I mean, it's not wholemeal. I figure, I mean, I do sometimes eat wholemeal bread as well, but I eat
Yeah.
regular bread,
Mhm.
generally, not sprouted or anything like that. Lunch is usually a salad, and that could be with beans, with lentils, with walnuts, with hummus, and stuff
Mm.
like that.
I love
And
walnuts.
it's a question of sort of opening the fridge and going, "Oh, what we've got? We've got lettuce and
Yeah.
stuff." Occasionally, I make a chopped salad, where I chop everything and put some dressing on, and I really like that. But often I don't. I'm very basic in terms of
Yeah.
cooking.
Well, I think too that that's what a lot of people have to understand, that they overcomplicate. I could never go vegan. Like, I mean, we hear that all the time from people, and I probably said it before I was vegan at some point. I could never eat that way because all of a sudden, immediately, like, think I got to do everything differently. I can't eat anything. And I love what you're presenting here as your diet, because that might, someone might hear that and say, you know what, I could do that,
Yeah.
because we think, I mean, they see me running around with lettuce on my head or something like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
I
think,
mean, I often put a little bit of oil olive oil on the salad. Occasionally, I use a store-bought dressing as well. And I quite often have, or now what you call potato chips, I think we call crisps.
uh-huh,
So I have some of those as well, and try and buy them unsalted if possible, but if they're not, then I have salted ones. So I have a lot of flexibility about it. I'm not as pure as lots of people are. And then I might have a banana. I love dried mango. I have to ration myself because I could eat like 3 packets of dried mango, all one after the other, um,
yes,
and things like that. And then the meal in the evening, and then I usually have a handful of nuts in the afternoon, and then the meal in the evening. Um, I mean, that can vary. It can be pasta with a sauce. I've
hmm,
started making a sauce using silken tofu, which is absolutely fantastic. And in the time the pasta's cooking, you can actually make the sauce, which is basically just silken tofu, yeast flakes, a bit of lemon juice, onion powder, garlic powder. I think that's it. Whizzed in a oh, I can't think what they're called.
bowl, or in a food processor type thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you take like a half a cup of water out of the pasta, then you drain the pasta, put the
Hmm.
pasta back in the pot, just sprinkle over the silken tofu sauce, and then
Okay.
add
Yeah.
in some of the that half cup of water to sort of loosen the sauce, and just stir it over a very low heat, and it's ready to eat.
Oh,
So it
that's
really takes no longer than the past, the past while the pasta's cooking, you're making the
right.
sauce,
Which
and
is
you're
like
not.
what, like 20, 15 minutes at the
Yeah,
most. Yeah, the
yeah.
whole thing, it sounds
So
like.
so that's great, and, sometimes we have potatoes and vegetables. We try to eat loads of, cabbage, cavolo nero, and so on, those sort of things, with tofu, with rice,
Hmm.
yeah, all sorts of things. Sometimes we have jacket potatoes with like a chili or something like that.
Jacket
So,
potatoes. I don't know what that is. I think that
jacket
may be.
potatoes, did you say?
Did you say jacket?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never heard of jacket
So
potato.
it
Like, what is it?
so it's a
Like
potato that you
a
cook
stuff?
in the oven, but you leave its skin on.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I got you. Like a baked potato, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
part
call
of,
them jacket potatoes
I like that. I'm gonna
because they've
start
still
calling it.
got their jackets on.
Right, that's cute. I love it. Like, oh, I love that. Let me just quickly check in here, and I forgot. Cookie, thank you. She said, "You both look so young. You're gonna make my day with that." We're shining examples. Thank
Oh,
you. Jane is definitely amazing. I almost dropped off my chair when I found out how old. Like, there's no way. Hey, Carl, welcome. Appreciate you being here. He's not a woman, but here to support. Yeah, you can get some gems out of this. I appreciate you being here to support
Yeah,
this
me too.
movement.
Yeah.
And oh, thank you so much. The book arrived to him. I appreciate you ordering. And Carl told,
Yeah,
Carl
baked
is, I think
potatoes.
he's
Yeah.
from the same region, so he has to tell me the differences of the names. And thank you, Dawn, for being here. Good. She said, don't forget to share this video, subscribe to the channel, and smash the like button. J&J Video Reacts is her channel, but I know that's Dawn. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and supporting. And you are going to love Jane's books, too. I have read a few of them and have immediately wanted to write a review because they were so awesome. So let's just also go through really quick here before we get too far ahead. I love hearing your meals. Wait, was there a snack or dessert, or did we end at dinner? I didn't want to cut
We
you off.
ended at dinner. I mean, I do have the odd snacks and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dried fruit. I probably eat far more dried fruit than I ought to.
It's working
And
for you, so keep doing it. Eat
yes,
that
yes,
dried fruit.
yeah,
I think it's important that you enjoy your food. I just recently put a post about that because sometimes we go levels higher in our health journey. Like I had went to a point where I didn't like I'd taken some things out of my salad. I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to continue to have olives or, over time, like maybe peas or whatever it is. And then you can not enjoy it,
yeah,
if you're just there like, so it's important to keep that balance, to keep it as healthy as you possibly can, as much whole food as you can, but also make sure it's sustainable and something you enjoy. Like I look forward to eating the salad every night that I eat. And even though it's the same thing 90% of the time, I really get into it. So, but if you're going along and not liking what you're doing, that's just setting you up for a big binge to go back to how you were eating that might have been making you not feel good. And you also said something in that that I wanted to visit before we go into the books and your how to reach you too. I wanted to say that you mentioned people aren't getting to the core issue, and I love that, with the menopause.
Tell her she sounds like my Chat GPT lady.
Oh, Dawn wanted me to tell you you probably heard her, but you sound like her Chat GPT voice. So
I hope that's good. I
gonna
hope
be able
that's
to put a
good.
face with it, right? What if you came back and shocked us and said, "I am the Chat GPT."
Yes,
I do that in my spare time.
yes.
That's amazing. I love your voice. I could literally listen to you like all day.
Uh,
And sometimes I do. So speaking of that, before we go into the books, let's talk about your YouTube channel. And I believe, am I wrong? It's your name, right?
yeah. No, it's Thriving Jane.
Thriving Jane. That's right.
Yeah,
I knew it had your name in it though.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
automatically go to it. It's in my favorites. So that's awesome. And when did
Yeah,
you start
I
that?
mean, I started with an Instagram account,
Oh,
and my
okay.
Instagram account mainly has very short gym videos, um, and that's been really good because people have said, I've been watching you, and I've decided I need to go to the gym and lift weights. So that's fantastic to see that. So when I came onto YouTube, it was natural, obviously, to keep it as Thriving Jane.
Yeah, I like the name, and that's
Yeah.
true. You are thriving.
Mm, mm.
And so that was, and you started it with like showing things about the gym, and then you went into the because now it's a lot of science based information and interviews, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm really interested in there's some it just amazes me how much good information is out there that people don't know and
Hmm.
that's backed by science, and instead of that they get these, you know, uh, insane ideas about what you need to do to be healthy.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of research-based evidence. So, that's one of the things I've always tried to do in my books is to make the evidence research-based. Can I just go back a bit to the healthy aging thing? Because something that struck me is I think one of the things I think is really important is to be curious.
Mhm.
because as people get older, there's the healthy aging thing can grab people in. Oh, I need to look young and glamorous, and I need to, have my face done, my teeth done. You know, I need to wear hair extensions. I need to do X, Y, and Z. And really, trying to look a lot younger than you are in that sort of way, actually, in the long run, I think doesn't work. It may work in the short run. So I'm not actually trying to look young. That's not my aim.
Yeah.
My aim is much more being curious about how fit and well and functioning I can be and for how long. So, like in the gym, I'm interested in exactly how much weight I could lift.
Mhm.
Um, I'm interested in the fact that, I don't take any medication at all.
Right.
And
That's
that's
awesome. I
for
know.
someone of my age, that's actually really unusual. I mean, I saw some research that said only one person over 65 in the UK, this is only one person in 13 isn't taking any medication. And by the time you get to 77, there's
Right.
be one in 50 or one in 100 or something. And, if I go to the sort of dentists or somewhere, people will say, any change in medication? And I will say, no, no, there isn't. I'm still not taking any. And so I'm like, I'm not saying I'll never take any medication. There may come a point where for some reason I need to, but what I'm trying to do is to say, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Can I live my whole life without taking regular medication? That's one of the things I'm curious about. I'm curious about, can I lift really heavy weights? Can I go, I'm getting stronger at the moment.
Yeah.
How much longer can I go on getting stronger? That
I
sort of
love it.
thing, you see. Yeah.
And it's like, because we see such different kinds of people, yet we all, I think, for the most part, I say this all the time, I might be wrong on the percentage, but I feel anyway like above 95% of everything we deal with can be resolved by our lifestyle, our diet, with, whether it be getting sunlight, eating right, in the quote right, because
Yeah.
there's so many different ways that people say it, but in my opinion, a very whole food, plant-based, lots of fresh raw food, incorporated in there like you do, and also enjoying yourself and exercising, right? Like, it sounds so simple, but it's so hard for us to do, and I go through periods where I'm not exercising like I should. So, like, I'm saying this as it's a really simple, like you said about them telling the person, set a goal and do it, right? But there's so much involved, and that's what I love about your work, is you not only tell people like you have to, be active and this and that, but you're giving them like specific ways to be able to get from point A to point B, like the health, weight loss 190 hacks. You're giving them how to eat healthy on a budget, which is awesome. We can all get cheaper jacket potatoes. I just wanted to say it myself. And potatoes are probably one of the things you can eat on a budget, right? And this is Neo, I think, wanted to come in and say hi here. Where are you? So that's a really great point there. Be curious, and also, like, sometimes we have to make minor changes to the way we've always lived, I think, too, to keep from having medications. Because if you start seeing yourself going down that road, like when I was in my 20s, I could eat, anything I wanted, and it seemed like I wasn't losing weight. When I got to 25, I would gain weight, and I started feeling, things that I was dealing with still at 42, like back pain. So it definitely, as you get older, like people say, you have to take care of yourself, but the earlier you can start, I would assume, the better.
Yeah, I think that's right. But the evidence also is it's never too late.
Hmm.
I mean, there's research being done on people in their 60s and their 70s where the researchers have introduced some, changes in the diet or some exercise. And, very quickly people see the difference. I
Hmm.
think, it really bothers me about exercise that so few people do it. So many people say, like I know I ought to do it, but somehow I don't get round to it. But the thing about it, if you do exercise regularly, it makes you feel better in
Yeah.
the moment, and
Mhm.
generally, because you get all these, I mean, you don't have to run and get a
Yeah.
runner's high, but even like weightlifting, going to a Zumba class or whatever it is you do, it does actually improve your mental state.
Mhm.
Um, so, it's really, really beneficial. Um, and people just need to do it and find something they like doing and commit to it and get on with it and do it.
I
Uh,
love what you said too. You kind of use it even as a transportation method. Like, you will cycle to the gym even. So like that's something that you use. It's not even like you have to think about it, I guess is where I'm going with it. That's how you get to a different
yeah,
place.
yeah. I
So
mean,
you're
I
exercising.
I cycle around 40 miles a week.
That's
Um,
awesome.
simply because I'm using my bike as my main form of transport. And I've got wet weather gear, and I have my rule is unless it's dangerous to cycle, I cycle. If there's like black ice
Yeah.
or dangerous situations, then I wouldn't. But in general, I do. Um,
I was
yeah,
gonna say one thing that has helped me recently is I moved the elliptical machine into this room, into my office, so that between calls, if I have a few minutes, I can get on or I see it and I'm like, yep, after
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
get on there
yeah,
instead of putting it off in another room. For me, that worked because I work from home. I don't go to an outside gym. So I'm like, it sometimes can get shut in that workout room and people start, what do they say, using the workout equipment as clothes hangers and things, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
but you enjoy it. I see that. And as people start, they might get to that point too, like they will, like you said, if you start feeling better mentally, you're probably drawn to want to continue to do something that makes you feel better mentally. That's good to
yeah,
know. And
yeah.
science backs it.
And I mean, I used to get sciatic pain. I used to find it very difficult to stand for longer than 5 minutes. If I was I don't know, at a reception or something, and I had to stand, I would, within about 5-10 minutes max, I need to find a wall to lean against, because
Yeah.
my lower back would be hurting, 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 and that doesn't happen now.
That is
Um,
awesome. And that
yeah.
changed when you started moving. Like we think, oh, stop moving because you're hurting, but it actually is the opposite. Get
Yeah,
moving.
for most people, I mean, movement is medicine. Uh,
Well, I think
motion
Angela
is lotion.
introduced me to you, Angela Fischetti, from Boomer and Beyond Wellness. She
All right.
introduced
I'm
me
in
to
the
you, I
UK, so jacket potatoes for me too, somebody's saying. Yeah.
think. It's definitely another shining example there too. I love that. Yeah, you inspired me. I want to go get working out right now. So see, you're there now. You've heard it again. You need another $10. You said for every time
Yeah.
you hear I'm inspirational. Here we go again. Somebody else saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Let's go through just so people know how to get a hold of your books. Amazon is the best place.
Yeah, yeah. Amazon or Audible, if people
Mhm.
want them as audiobooks. My budget book, it will be out as an audiobook in about a week, I think. But the others are already available as ebooks, paperbacks, audiobooks. If you've got a Kindle Unlimited account, you can read any of my books for free using your
Mhm.
Kindle Unlimited account. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that
And
there's
please
Kindle.
review, please review. You know,
Yes.
I mean, the thing about us independent authors, if you're a big person, somebody who's very well known, an influencer, a celebrity, you can sell your books really easily. Or if you've got a big publishing company behind you, put a lot of money behind you in terms of advertising and so on, then you can sell a lot of books. But there's some amazing independent authors out there writing um, amazing stuff. And the only way that people will get to see that is if people keep on leaving reviews. So it's not just for me. Think about any other book you've read.
Yeah.
And, if you like it, then one of the really simple things you can do, if you bought it off Amazon, is go back to Amazon and leave a review.
That's true. And I think that's a good way to look at it because, it's not really like you said, it's wonderful for author to see that, but algorithms the way they are nowadays, it's the same like if we have a video, how we say to like and share and
Yeah. Yeah.
comment. It's the same with the reviews on Amazon. I'm noticing that too, because they will place your book higher. And to your point, it's a shame that there's so much good information, but sometimes the misinformation unfortunately gets pushed to the top because it's a big name
Yeah.
and they've got all these reviews, and then your people aren't really getting to have an honest, even chance to see the whole food plant-based or the vegan information. That's really good point. And I know there's a thing like a stipulation on Amazon, if you haven't spent a certain amount,
Yeah, it's
but you can still.
$50 you need to
So,
spend.
if you buy books on Amazon, that really, you probably spent that over time. And then also you can still do the stars, I think, but you might not be able to do words. But are there, and is there any other ways to give it reviews, or it has to
I
be
mean, there's Goodreads. Do you have
Goodreads? Yeah.
Goodreads? Yeah,
I've heard of
people.
it. I haven't gotten on it yet.
Okay, well, people can leave reviews on Goodreads, and
Mhm.
there isn't any requirement to have bought the book or and in fact with Amazon you can leave a review for a book even if you haven't bought it from Amazon. So
Okay.
say you've brought it from somebody else or
Mhm.
somewhere else, you can still go on Amazon, providing you're actually meeting the requirements of spending $50 a year on Amazon. Then you can leave a review on Amazon, and
I
that's
know you guys are
something.
gonna love her books, so go on there, listen to them on Audible, and give her reviews. Let's surprise Jane with all these reviews,
That
right?
would be wonderful,
And
wonderful.
I can say honest reviews because you know what? I know they're gonna love it too.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we got so it was all right. So the most recent one is healthy aging on a budget.
No,
All mixed
health
up.
and wellness on a budget.
Health and wellness on a
Sorry,
budget.
health and well-being on a budget. Let me get this right.
We
Well,
know it's on a budget, but we forgot what was on
yeah,
there.
yeah. So that's that one.
They're
There
so
was
pretty and big too. I love it.
There's the 190 weight loss hacks, which I was telling you about.
Mhm.
There's the it's called menopause weight loss, but it addresses menopause more generally as well.
Mhm.
And then the science of healthy aging.
I love that. That's the first one I read. The
Yeah,
Science of
yeah.
Healthy Aging. I was
I
like,
think,
okay, I need to know this.
yeah. I mean, I really like the science of healthy aging because I go through all the objections people have. It's my genes. You're lucky. It
Mhm.
costs too much, etc., and sort of try and demolish those, and then give you the suggestions about what you can do, all based on science. It's very practical, and I tend, if you're looking for a whole program
Mhm.
of do this on this day, do that on this day, and so on, then my books aren't for you. Because what I do, as you know, is I like to give you lots and lots of options of
Mhm.
different things you can do. And
Yeah.
then what I suggest is that people pick the one that they think would be easiest to do and do
Yeah.
that. And then when they've got that under their belt, they add another one. So people are gradually sort of building up their own lifestyle, their own positive lifestyle, bit by bit.
That's awesome because we're all just a little like I feel like all of our digestion is the same, right? Like what foods definitely are healthy and things like that. But like as far as our lifestyles, we also have to figure out which meal plan is sustainable. So I love that you give the
Yeah.
options and like here's how you can do it. And like just as an overview, like if you had to pick one thing scientifically that like backs it, would it just be that this food like a whole food plant-based food and exercise helps us on like a cellular level, or it helps us to, some people say it detoxes us, like what is the reason that you think the healthy vegan diet works as opposed to some of these other short-lived in my opinion, like meal plans that they have out there?
Yeah. A whole food plant-based diet is anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
And that's why it's so important. So, because inflammation, if you have inflammation in your body, you have pain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on an anti-inflammatory diet, if you're on the whole food plant-based diet, then you're less likely to have arthritis. If you do get arthritis, you're less likely to have any pain. I've got a very bent finger. I don't know if you can see that.
Uh-huh.
And it's no pain.
I was hoping it was that finger and not another one, right?
So it's this one, which is really sort of bent out of shape and is a bit
Mhm.
knobbly. It doesn't hurt. Now, I think if I was following a typical Western diet, it would be hurting. I would be in
Yes.
pain with it. So you're less likely to get arthritis. You're less likely to have things like migraine. You're less likely to get cardiovascular, type 2 diabetes, and so on. There's also been some work doing on inflammation in the brain.
Mhm.
And so an anti-inflammatory diet helps to reduce the inflammation in the brain. Inflammation in the brain has been linked to obesity and people having trouble losing weight. It's also been linked to mental health problems.
And is it meat and dairy that cause the inflammation the most, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm a vegan. My main reason for being vegan is because I don't want to be involved in the suffering that is caused to animals in order for us to eat meat and dairy and eggs. But not everybody wants to become vegan, and just moving more towards a plant-based diet,
Mhm.
that in itself is beneficial. There's lots of evidence that the current that a lot of manufactured foods, the manufacturers are developing foods that hit the sweet spot and affect our brains so
Mhm.
that we crave more of that thing. I think it's really important we understand that food manufacturers are not our friends. They
Mhm.
absolutely are not our friends. They do not care about our health. What
Yeah.
they care about is making money for the company. And to make money for the company, they need to keep us coming back and wanting more and more and more of that food. And
Mhm.
so um, it can be quite difficult if people are moving away from a standard American diet
Mhm.
to begin with, because the brain has been fine-tuned by manufacturers to
Yeah.
like that stuff. So it can be
Yeah.
really, really hard to believe that you could get to a point where you like a whole food diet, where you, like me, crave salad. And it will take a while, but it does happen. You lose your taste for sweet stuff. Most people do. Maybe not altogether, but enough so
Mhm.
that, now I mean, we have chocolate in the house and I can eat 2 squares and leave it alone. At one
Yeah.
time, that would not have been possible. I would have had to eat the whole bar. But now,
Right.
now I can do it, and it doesn't demand willpower. It's because I think my brain has been retrained, and it
Mhm.
takes time. Yeah.
Yeah. It does. I think and we, you know, we change. Like I've heard people say their tastes have changed from when they were a kid. They didn't like this and they like this, but I think it actually can happen, like you said, at any age. Because I speak to people, a lot of people that are, that come on here that are over 50 and over 60, and even, it doesn't matter when you start. These improvements happen. Like I still remember one of my guests, like you said, about inflammation. She was, I think, 70 something. I'm not sure the exact age, but I think it was above maybe 75, and had inflammation and arthritis so bad she could barely walk, and it was gone within like 40 days or something. Like these things don't also take years. That's what amazes me
Yeah.
is, you began this journey so, like, as a younger person, based on the animal rights, and then moved probably into a healthier diet, like you said. And that really, it doesn't matter though, like, even if you're dealing with something already set in, which is unfortunate, but if you have a problem already, you can many times, by science, this isn't just people's experiences, we see why it happens, like there's lots of studies in different books, and a lot of stuff done on reversing heart disease, and you know um and just so many things that your books even say about why you get to the why. I think is why there's so much things being thrown at people like this works, this works, this works, but when you have science backed information as to why, and you've got, stories and long-term studies, because a lot of these newer diets that worry me out here are, well, I feel better after 30 days on this, I'm eating only meat or something like that, because you're taking out a lot of other stuff in your diet. So I think initially you may have that boost of feeling, better, but there's a lot of like drugs that can make you feel better, but long term they're not good for you
Yeah, yeah,
anyway.
yeah. I would agree. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I really wanted to also say, like, the way that you present the information is kind of makes it feel like you're speaking to the person directly, and you understand where we're coming from. I think that's what's important too. It's not like when you say backed by science, some people are like, oh, I don't want to read a science book, but it's very natural and very well written. So I think people will enjoy and learn a lot too.
Yeah, yeah. I've had quite a lot of reviewers say something of all my books say something like that. It's like having a really good, knowledgeable friend who's sitting by me and reminding me about things or telling me about something really useful.
Yeah.
So that's that. The first time I read that, I was like, oh, that's so beautiful.
I know, right? Yeah, the reviews are for the algorithm, but trust me, they also make us feel really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, they do. They do indeed. Yeah.
And just somebody saying they read your work, or they, it's because you put so much time and effort into it. I mean, it took me, like, it was so difficult to write one book, and you've written 4 of them. So I know the work you put into it and what it means for people to read it and then enjoy it and get something out of it,
Yeah.
because I know you're changing lives, by your work. And sometimes I feel like people might read something and then put it back on the shelf, per se, or if it's on your Kindle, and maybe later on it didn't resonate then, but something is planted in there and it
Yeah.
sticks. So later on, when they hear something or they decide, okay, now I'm ready, because you have to be at that point where, like, tomorrow I'm gonna do it,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
tomorrow never comes. But then that day is gonna come and you'll have all this knowledge, because knowing the why and that, it is science backed is so important. So I love that. And and your most recent book, I was gonna say, how do we get on your email list? Because I love that I was able to know about it. I know that you keep us informed by the emails. Is it a newsletter that you do, or I forget how
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got on there?
Yeah, I do a newsletter, but I don't have anywhere where people can sign up for the newsletter, which is a bit daft. Um,
I got in there somehow. I'm excited.
so, are you putting information below here? Have you got
Yes, uh-huh.
information?
Everything's going to be in the description that you sent me in your bio, so I'll put this in there too. Let me
Because did I tell you about I've got a free ebook called "You Don't Need Willpower to Eat Healthily"?
see if that was in here. Oh, you have everything here. You've got the contact form, which I think that's how I got on the email. But let me look at the here. I've got the menopause, weight loss hacks, science of healthy aging. I don't have that one, I don't think.
Okay, so I will send immediately we come off this call, I'll send it over to you, which is I've got a free ebook,
Mhm.
and that also puts you onto my mailing list, which I don't bombard you with things, but and that's an ebook called "You Don't Need Willpower to Eat Healthy,"
I love
and
that.
it's got lots of it's got worksheets in it and things, so it's a sort of interactive ebook, and it's free.
And I'll link that in the comments
Yeah,
here for you too, so that way, and the notes, the
yeah,
description and the
yeah,
comments, because
yeah.
I remember for my first like 3 months on YouTube, I didn't know how to get to the description, so I always put stuff in the comments, 'cause that's what I always looked for. But this has been awesome. Any other, like, I know I've kept you over time now, but thank you for all the knowledge. I'm sure I could talk to you another hour, right? But I'm sure you have a life to get back to. What else? Is there anything anything we didn't cover that you want to talk about, or any last like closing advice or anything for?
I mean, just make small changes. That's what I would really say. Just commit to making small changes and, living a healthy lifestyle. When you don't do it, it can seem like deprivation. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I'm going to I'm going to have to go to the gym and I'm going to have to be self-disciplined, and it means I can't sit and pig out and watch something on Netflix. I'm going to have to get up and go to the gym, or I'm going to go for a run, or I won't be able to eat all this food I like, and so on. But what you need to understand is that what you're going to replace that with is better health, better mental health, better physical health. I can guarantee that. I don't think you can guarantee much in life. But if you start eating better, exercising regularly, you'll feel better physically, you feel better mentally, your confidence improves, your posture improves, it all improves.
That
That's what you have to look forward to. It's not a life of deprivation at all.
I love that. And Carl said small changes add up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Cookie said she's enjoyed it. And one last thing I want to say, and bouncing off of that, is almost like when you're not living your healthy lifestyle, you start to feel deprived. I know that sounds weird, but
Yeah.
at certain
Yeah.
times, like if you weren't able to get out, like for some reason, like you probably weren't able to cycle. And I watched Dawn, who was here, say sometimes I didn't get my workout in, something ran weird with work or something, and she would really feel deprived, like she didn't get her, endorphins or nourishment. So like it's true. Or if you don't eat right for a couple of days, you start to feel the effect. So like once you can, if you can let yourself get over the hump, get out of the limiting beliefs and make those small changes, as you start adding those things on, you'll start to feel better. So I love that advice. I love that your advice is really practical and realistic for people, and not like, okay, now that's it, you're going on 30 days of lettuce right now,
Yes. Yes.
we're getting you in
I
shape.
mean, that does work for some
That
people,
works. That's almost what I
going
did
to
at first,
something
but that didn't
extreme, but not for
change.
me. No.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank, let me just run through here. We had Kookie, J Video Reacts, Carl. I hope I'm saying your name right, Kookie. I really like it. That's why I keep saying it. And my guest today again was Jane Thurnell Read. She is amazing. She has shared with us so much information about healthy aging and menopause and living easy on a budget and being healthy. And so I really appreciate you being here. Everyone, go to the description and go subscribe to her YouTube channel. Check out some of the videos on there. There's one, this really cool lady, I think, named Veganowledge JJ on there.
Yes.
Oh, wait, that was me. I had to, right? And then there's like all of her book links are going to be in there, and check them out. I know if you're like me, I love the Audible version because I'm always doing things. You can be working out and listening to them. You can be cleaning, so that's awesome too. Or the paperback, grab it. I like when I really enjoy a book on Audible, then I order it paperback so I can have it. So everyone, Kindle, it's free on the unlimited. Check out, I'm telling you, I'm like a big fan of hers, so check out her books and leave a review, more importantly, or
Yeah.
not more
Yeah.
importantly, but importantly.
Yeah.
So thank you. And also the email list is so helpful because I know you had sent me information when your book was coming out, because we're all so busy, like, you forget things, right?
Yeah.
Like even if
Yeah.
I had a date, I might have even forgotten our first live stream, but let's not talk about that. All right. Well, thank you again, Jane. You enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you, Carl. Appreciate you and everyone that's been here. And anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. I think that's good. Thank you for being here, people. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your amazing Plantz4mation, everyone.